We are inside a Chinese factory that's normally closed to visitors.
Only people who are allowed to see that product can go into that room.
Oh yeah, this is Mark, the co-owner of this factory who has lived in China for 20 years.
I was the first British person to purchase a property in Zhuhai.
He showed me how everything works inside.
To get in here, you would dress up in the ESD uniforms and then you would de-static yourself.
Mark also took me around this part of southern China, near Macau and Hong Kong.
This whole thing is an artificial island.
Now it's filled with some of the most powerful companies worth billions of dollars. And the world's longest sea bridge is also here. We are uncovering what most foreigners never get about China.
People are a lot more individual here than the outside world will probably think.
Can a non-Chinese person ever build strong relationships with locals?
When you marry in China, you marry the family.
And whether foreigners should be afraid to go to China.
The mission of them to get us drunk.
Wow, after this, you will never see China the same way again. I'm Chernov, your insider to Expat Life. 走吧。
我住在中国20多年，所以现在正在珠海变成我的家。我这里有中国的老婆，也有一个2岁半的女孩，所以我最喜欢的住在珠海最喜欢的事情就是家庭，就是我的家人。
What do you think people don't get about China overall? Like people who never been here, the foreigners or the Western world don't understand about the country?
There's many things, but two that I could immediately pick up on. One is just how developed China is, just how advanced it actually is the first one. And the second one is that the people are a lot more friendly than I think other people outside realize. When they come here and they see how friendly people are, and they see how advanced and developed the country is, it's quite eye-opening, it's quite awe-inspiring. We had what is believed to be the largest civic delegation from the UK ever to visit China last month.
Okay.
And as chairman of the British Chamber of Commerce South China, I was one of the people hosting them in Shenzhen. We went to BYD, we went to Tencent headquarters, we went to Honor headquarters, Yantian port, the busiest container terminal. And so we had, 6 mayors and vice mayors from around the UK and then a wider delegation with them. And people were just in awe. They were like, wow, just everywhere, taking photos of everything. And it was nice to see because I've lived here and grown with that. It's not so.
Oh, it's already like, of course it is.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. So it was great to see how excited they were.
That's it, yeah?
Yeah. So this is Shieldworks
manufacturing.
Yeah.
So you own the company, or like you?
Yeah, I'm one of the 3 owners. So there's 3 owners of the company.
One of the 3 owners.
So this is a relatively new industrial park called Sanzhou. MTU, very large airplane motor company from Germany. They've just opened nearby. There's some solar plants.
Yeah.
Harting are here. Philips are here just over the other side of this building.
Okay.
It's a growing part of Zhuhai, and it's only 15-minute drive to Zhuhai Airport.
Yeah. Very convenient. So how many people work here?
In the group total, there's about 110 right now.
Yeah.
How's the project going?
Seems the electrical have little issues.
Yeah, they were telling me last night, between the electrical platform and the mechanical platform, how they work together.
Yeah.
So you're trying to fix that today?
Oh, I tried. I tried because I'm weak on electrical field.
Right, but I have faith in you. No pressure, no pressure. The culture is not as individualistic here in China, that's for sure. As we are in the UK, USA, where we have personal, individual liberty and freedom, and it's not the same. But people are a lot more individual here than the outside world will probably think. And they're a lot more friendly and open to discussion than a lot more people think. One of the really interesting things that happened recently was when TikTok, Douyin, they sort of like opened the servers so that people using TikTok in the USA could communicate with people using TikTok in China. And it was fascinating to see what happened on the Chinese social media and the Chinese internet sphere during that time, everybody was talking to each other and cultural exchange was happening and new friendships were forming. It was so interesting to see it. People in America saying, "Hi, Chinese people, look at what we do here, look at this." And then conversely, Chinese people, "Hi, Americans, welcome to China, look at this." It was really interesting.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, girl.
Do you think Chinese people are patriotic overall, like in general?
Yes, I believe they are. I believe more so than the UK. They are.
More so, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, you just have to look at occasionally in the past where there's been some difficult geopolitical relations, say between China and Japan.
Yeah.
Then suddenly this patriotic, nationalistic sentiment just rises up, and you'll see they stop buying Nissans and Toyotas and like immediately, and saying pro-Chinese statements everywhere. Yeah, they are. I think they're very patriotic.
Oh wow, I love it. Okay.
Welcome.
So everybody speaks English here?
Most
Like,
people speak
most
English,
people,
yeah. Some of the workers in the factory floor won't. Hi Brian, how are you? Yeah. 你喜欢狗狗吗？
太胖了，怕它咬人。
它不会咬人的，它好乖，
好乖是吧？
好乖。不是第一次见面吗？
见了好多次了。
对，见了好多次。What we're on right now is all reclaimed land. It's an artificial island.
Okay.
This whole area is. In front of you is the Bridgeport. That is the border for the bridge to Hong Kong. Incredibly impressive. This is the world's longest sea crossing.
Oh.
The world's longest sea crossing goes from Zhuhai, Macau. That's Macau right next to us. Right next to us is Macau.
Okay.
All of that. The buildings right there are Macau.
Okay.
And this border has Macau border, mainland China border inside it. Then you get onto either a private car or a bus, and you go over the bridge to Hong Kong. So from here, I can get to Hong Kong airport in about 45 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So
That's fast.
that is why
Yeah.
last month I flew from Hong Kong to Hainan. Month before that I flew from Hong Kong to Xiamen, simply because it was more convenient than Zhuhai Airport. It is a marvel, this bridge, an engineering marvel, especially with the typhoons we get that come into the Pearl River estuary. So there you go, Hong Kong, Zhuhai, Macau, Bridgeport.
Nice.
But yeah, when you think about the infrastructure that China does, this whole thing is an artificial island.
Yeah.
You know? It's incredible.
It is incredible. There are still some people who think that in China there's like only low quality product, only this plastic shit and stuff.
Correct.
Which is not like, which is
no, so
100% not the case.
I would say the two misconceptions are, one, what you just alluded to, that it's cheap.
Yeah.
There's all this cheap crap getting made.
Yeah.
And the second one is that it's dirty. But as you see, this facility is pretty clean.
Yeah.
And it's not just us, there is other clean facilities in China. A lot of the dirty manufacturing, it's been moved away. China doesn't want to do that anymore. It wants to clean up the air, it wants to reduce pollution, and it has made big bounds on that. When I first arrived in China, the pollution was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. It was damaging to lungs. I know people that left China because of it. But now they've done a good job at cleaning it up.
Yeah.
And that's a mixture of reducing the heavy pollutant manufacturing and also having more electric vehicles on the road. And thirdly, they still use coal here. Coal is dirty, as you know, but their energy mix is becoming more on the non-carbon pollutant energy, such as hydro, huge hydroelectricity. Nuclear's big here. So they are trying to reduce the pollution that way as well.
Yeah. So I guess China is already like pretty developed.
Yeah.
And the scale of it is huge. It's kind of hard to stop this economy at the moment.
It is.
Even if it's a slowdown, but it's just because it's so massive.
That's right. And you know, Chinese people historically have been savers. If you look at the ratio of personal savings versus personal investment, it's a completely different ratio to in the West. More people save than invest here. So there's a lot of cash, held back in personal families and in the economy.
Yeah.
If China can unleash that through policies, through giving people confidence, then I think there's a huge amount of potential in consumer-led growth to be had here. And that's what China wants to get to. They want to get to a consumer-driven growth in their economy to replace some of the manufacturing-led growth.
Why do you think it's a huge amount of cash compared to other countries?
I think it's probably quite cultural. China had the Cultural Revolution and obviously the Great Famine, and back to that time, you could still see that impacting the way people think nowadays. So, because a lot of people are alive that lived through that period. So when you see people, specifically elderly people, and I am generalizing here, it's not everybody, not queuing up or pushing in or trying to grab something at a buffet table, like little anecdotes like that, it's because it's ingrained in them that
it's fear that they need to do it now.
Yeah, yes, got to do it now. It's going to go. I need to eat now. I need to do this now. I need to get that now. And when you can see it through that lens and you understand it, it doesn't make you annoyed anymore that people are pushing. You understand, okay, yeah, I get that. And obviously that's then gone down a little bit to the next generation as well, because they're taught that. So I believe that's one of the reasons why Chinese save a lot of their money, because of that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there for more consumption.
I think many people still kind of afraid what's going on in China. Oh, China is something like that's very controlled and they hate foreigners. This kind of notion, some people think, because they just don't understand and they never live here. Yeah.
I've never had any problems here.
Yeah.
Never really had any problems. I mean, licensing, regulatory, that sort of problems, yes, I've had many of them, annoying over the years. Yeah. But personal issues, never had one.
Yeah.
Never had one. I've never been attacked. I've never been shouted racist things at. So yeah, I feel safe and fine here.
Is it easy to make friends with Chinese?
It is, yes. Yeah.
It is.
It is easy to make friends with Chinese. If you were to walk into a bar, you could easily sit down and talk to some Chinese and make friends with them. Very, very welcoming to discussions with strangers. More so than most countries in the world, I'd say. Now, you might not make good friends with them, but you can sit down and have a conversation, and they'll be very welcoming.
What would be the way to develop more, like, deeper relationships with Chinese people?
Food.
Food.
Yeah. Go out for dinner.
Yeah.
Go out for dinner, go sing KTV, karaoke.
Yeah. Anything that you still not get used to living in China?
The most stressful thing about living here is the internet. It is draining sometimes. I want my family or friends back in the UK, which is sort of a big close link with. They send me videos. I want to watch the video on YouTube. I can't. Or a lot of our clients use Google for the Google Docs and all of that, and they want to share Google Docs with us.
Yeah.
Blocked. We can't access the documents. So we have to get the clients to try and send them different ways. All of those different things. Even Dropbox is blocked here. LinkedIn, for example, which we use for marketing. Yeah, it's annoying and frustrating, and even not those sites, even sites that work, can sometimes be very, very slow as well. So the internet is the number one gripe of living here.
Frustrating.
I keep hearing more and more stories about phone and online scams. So it got me thinking, we lock our front doors, right? But what about when we are online? That's why I started using something that protects me from this. It's called VPN. Think of it like putting your internet activity in a locked box that only you have the key to. And I think a really good VPN is Surfshark. When I'm traveling or using public Wi-Fi, I can log in into my channel, bank account or email without worrying. No one can steal my personal info. And actually, Surfshark also helps you save money on online shopping and gives you access to websites that might be blocked in the country you are visiting. All users get a 30-day money-back guarantee and 24/7 customer support. I'm not a tech geek, but this just makes sense to try. I've put a link in description. Just go to surfshark.com/Chernov and use my special code Chernov to get 4 extra months free. Thanks to Surfshark for their support. And now let's get back to the video.
On the right here, this is the free trade zone. This was one of the original free trade zones set up by China to allow foreign companies to manufacture in China. So there's a lot of European, Japanese factories in here. You've got some big companies like TDK, Bosch, MTU, Philips, Bowers & Wilkins, the British speaker brand, and it's still going. It's no longer really truly a free trade zone because now you can apply for different certifications, various places. But yeah, this was one of the original ones.
Your co-founders are from where? Also British?
Also British, yeah. The three of us are all British.
And you got together
so,
here.
as you'll see here, 100%.
You met everybody here?
Yeah, we all met in China, yeah.
Yeah.
Ni hao, hello, hello. Ni hao. No, you're not allowed in there. This is the operations office. Good morning. Hi.
What's the working hours normally for your team?
8:30 till 5:30. But then it depends if there's some urgent production, then we'll have different shifts or OT.
Yeah.
But China has some quite strict OT regulations.
Is it?
Yeah, only maximum 3 hours in one day.
Even if they want to.
Correct, even if they want to. So a lot of factories will break that. A lot of factories will break that.
I can imagine,
But the actual labor law regulation is quite strict.
Yeah.
And you can't do 7-day weeks, etc. So there is some very stringent laws there.
And if it's plus 3 hours, for example, OT, like what would be the X for paying?
Normally times by 2 of what the hourly salary would work out to.
Okay.
And the staff want to do OT. They really want it.
I can imagine, yeah.
I mean, a lot of them, if they're migrant workers, they live in the dormitory here.
Yeah.
They've got nothing else to do. Let's earn some more money, so they want to.
Yeah.
So then it's that balance. It's like, no, you've done your 3 hours, you're not allowed to do any more. That sort of discussion.
Do you think the way of doing business in China is very different from the way of doing business in the UK?
Yeah, there's a lot of points to drill down into that, but the first point would be from the leadership direction. In China, it's a very authoritarian leadership, you know?
Okay.
The boss is the boss. And this can be detrimental to companies because the senior management, the middle management, even the lower level employees, they have a lot more insights on everything in the company than the boss does. This is true, in my opinion, true in every company in the world because they're running the operations, they're running it daily.
Yeah.
If you have an authoritarian structure like a lot of Chinese companies do, the people below them, they don't want to speak up or they're not allowed to speak up. They're not allowed to speak to power. And that, in my opinion, is not good. You know, you need to be open to listening to ideas from everybody. So in our company, in Shieldworks and CW, everyone can have a suggestion, an idea. Everybody can input. It's the only way we learn and grow. So that's a fundamental difference, that leadership structure.
Yeah.
There's also then the cultural aspects. You know, the Chinese, whilst they're very direct in some culture, in businesses, there can be a lot of negotiation on something. A lot of discussion, whether something's even a yes/no answer question can end up being a long discussion process. And you also may have to, you know, build a relationship for a long time. Relationship, guanxi, is such a big part of Chinese culture in personal relationships and in business. So, you know, as a company boss, you go to see the other company boss. You spend a lot of time building. You see them again and again and build that relationship. And that's the only way to really get something done if you really need it. So an example, if we have something where we need an urgent production and we've made a good relationship with the factory boss, he may prioritize my production over someone else's. So that relationship building is so important. Whereas in the UK or the US, it's a bit more transactional. You still have a relationship, but you're not constantly nurturing that. You're doing the transaction. We want A, it costs B. There we go.
How's the drinking culture in China versus in UK?
Oh, that is an interesting one. So Chinese people like their drink, but it generally is a bit different. They do not like IPAs en masse. Only particular people do. A lot of it is the gambaying culture. So you cheers and you bottoms up your glass and you empty it.
To get drunk.
To get drunk. And what we've had to do a lot of in our days here manufacturing in China is meeting factory bosses. And when we meet a factory boss and then we go out for dinner with them, it is always basically the mission of them to get us drunk. So they have designated people that basically will...
To see who you are inside.
And so I could be there sitting with a factory boss and his team, right? And then each of his team is going to gambay me, each of them. So we're 10 minutes into the dinner, they've all had 1 cup, and I've had about 10 cups already. And then that goes on until they get you as drunk as possible. It's,
But that's the kind of business strategy that they use here, right?
It is. It's starting to reduce a bit. Obviously, the older generation still like doing that. But the younger generation, they're a bit more health conscious now. So they are more willing to sip the drinks rather than down them. Also, the Chinese government is pushing this as well, because there has been sadly some accidents where people have passed away from alcohol poisoning. That's quite famous cases. So the Chinese government's doing a really good thing. They're trying to basically spread the message down, stop doing this now. Come
Yeah.
on, just drink sensibly.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Can you make like a lot of money as a foreigner living in China and doing business here in China?
I would say the opportunities for that are less now
Yeah.
than they were. So, back 2005 to 10, there was loads of opportunities for people to make money. There is less of that now. But I'd say there is definitely still opportunity. The Chinese are welcoming to foreigners. And when you open a company here, so we're a 100% foreign company, but it's the exact same laws applied to us as to a Chinese company.
Yeah.
And
So no discrimination.
no discrimination on that. Now there is discrimination for certain things. So that's basically market access issues. So if there's a particular type of industry that is on the disallowed list,
Yeah.
I don't know what the full list is, but for example, nuclear or weapons. Or,
Yeah, this kind of stuff.
But there is some also technology ones, which I know the US and the UK and the EU, they're trying to push these market barriers aside. They're trying to get China to open up more.
Yes.
Because it does stop some of their companies being able to come in. But as an entrepreneur, not a multinational, as an entrepreneur, there's definitely, opportunities in China to make money.
Yeah.
You just got to find the opportunity, and you've got to understand the culture here. You need to really understand it. I think one of the biggest issues we have in companies, but also in civil service, in government, across the board, is just a lack of China capabilities. There's a lack of knowledge of how China operates, or what the culture's like on the ground. And I think that's an area where we should really improve it.
Yeah.
And that's not to say anything negative or positive. It's just a lack of capability. It's a lack of understanding. An example, hundreds of thousands of Chinese students go to the UK to study in university. But,
Yeah.
hardly any British students come to China to study. So when all those Chinese students go back to China, they understand the UK, they understand British people and culture.
Yes.
So we're missing a huge amount of capability there. And that's something I think will help not just government and policy, but it will help entrepreneurs. Because then you'll think, right, I understand China, I'm going to go there and open this idea in this company. Because the market is so huge here. The potential market size is massive.
This channel is now my full-time job. But before, I worked as an engineer, brand manager, I ran a media agency. But YouTube is actually my dream job. Small team, big profits, everything is done remotely, and it aligns with my passions and values. So some of you might be also thinking to start a YouTube channel for, let's say, some additional passive or semi-passive income. So I made a video lesson for you where I break down my 5-step strategy, which helped me to grow this channel to almost 350,000 subscribers within just 2 years. I also used the same one to grow my other channel, different language, different niche, to 300,000 subscribers, and I always use the same strategy when I help my students and clients to grow their channels. I also explain how this blueprint can help you build a semi-passive income stream of at least $10,000 a month. So I'll leave a link in description, click it and grab it if it's still available. How's the speeding issue or speeding, like, do you have tickets from time to time? Because I see you like slow down sometimes and then you speed up. It's like, how's it in China?
So we're on video now. I never speed, I never break the law, I am a very safe driver.
Never speed, yeah.
One time recently I was accidentally caught by a camera speeding. I didn't realize it was a poor mistake I made, but I was caught speeding.
Yeah.
And I got 6 points on my license.
6 points, and you have how many total?
So once you get 12 points, then you lose your license for, I believe it's 1 year, and you have to also pass a test again.
Really? For one speeding ticket?
No, when you get to 12 points.
Like, I mean, 6, so 6 for one speeding ticket, so basically 2 speeding tickets?
Within 1 calendar year. So they refresh after a calendar year.
That's harsh.
Yeah. There is also speeding fines of 3 points. I just believe it must have been the camera, the location, the speed I was going.
Yeah.
Into the facility.
This is big.
Yeah, so the way this is laid out, so because the IP protection I said we have, so every client has their own assembly cell.
Yeah.
So each assembly cell is fully sealed, fingerprints, facial recognition, so only people who are allowed to see that product can go into that room.
Yeah.
We try to stop the cross-contamination of people, processes, documents, drawings, to ensure that level is kept secure.
Yeah. And everything is like super clean and like organized.
Thank you. We are proud of the cleanliness. It's something we think everybody should have, because if the facility is kept clean, then the products are capable. Everything is in that culture of 6S, if you know that. It's very rare to see farmland when you're around the Pearl River Delta, around here, Guangzhou, Shenzhen, Foshan, Zhuhai. It's really rare. But one thing I found out just last week, or 2 weeks ago, amongst the area on this side of the delta, so whilst you don't really see countryside, there's a lot of nurseries for trees and plants and horticultural items. And that I didn't realize is a very big industry here. So you have countries in the Middle East where they obviously don't grow much of their own horticultural items, and they do a lot of development, such as in Saudi Arabia. And there's a lot of nurseries around this area exporting trees and bushes and plants and shrubbery. So it's there's a lot of industries you don't think of. You see the mountain over on the right. So that mountain, when we first opened the factory in 2019, was about twice as long, and they've utilized some of the mountain for concrete and cement making, producing.
And here's some kind of swamps or something?
Yeah, marshlands and mangroves. This is for pizza ovens. I'll show you one of the ovens that we are indeed ourselves over here. You may even know the brand we did this for, Bushbeck. These are basically assembly lines where the ovens come along on these fixtures, and then they're assembled at each of the stations along the way. Then they're assembled upside down, a much easier way of assembling the ovens. And then they come into this machine here, which will clamp the oven and rotate it to its normal orientation.
Now it's not active, the line?
No, so it's a seasonal product. So it's done at specific times of year, depending on the demand.
Is it difficult to find right people for the jobs here?
Getting more so, yes. So it used to be very easy to hire workers and technical staff in China. But the issues now are, firstly, workers, a lot of young people don't want to do that job anymore. They don't want to work at the bottom in a factory assembling something, so that's one issue. Second issue on the technical side is, as China moves further up the manufacturing value chain into more quality advanced manufacturing, a lot of these companies want to hire all of the technical people. And that means there's big labor inflation. The costs are really increasing. So, China's not cheap to manufacture anymore.
Not anymore.
No. It's a really nice city. I would say it's up there with one of the most relaxing cities to live in China. That's for sure. I was the first British person to purchase a property in Zhuhai.
Wow.
And that caused...
How come?
I don't know. Other foreigners had, but I was the first British one, and also the first foreigner in a while. So all the employees were new in the property registry office. It was interesting to say the least. The number of documents and everybody learning the process at the same time. It took months. And I have a foreign mortgage as well, so it's quite an interesting thing I've done. But
so you use money from
overseas, from Hong Kong, from
Hong Kong.
So, but I pay the mortgage in Zhuhai, but with money coming in every month to pay the mortgage from overseas. It's a very interesting way of doing it. But a lot of people think foreigners can't get loans, mortgages, financing for vehicles in China. They can. It's just up to the financial institution whether they want to, take on the risk of it. This is our ESD room, our electrical static room. So here we make various, we've cleaned it of IP so you're allowed to record it. So basically, to get in here, you would dress up in the ESD uniforms. And then you would de-static yourself. And obviously with that one, then we have the facial recognition. And then this is where we assemble a lot of the high-end electronics. Hi, Michael.
What's that? It's a seat or something?
No, this is for a tattoo company. So there's a tray on here for the needles and for the inks, and then it has different heights. Really high-end brand.
Pretty cool. Where are you selling to? Like which countries? For example, this product.
So these are going to the USA and the UK. We have a ESD warehouse there specifically for electronic components. This is the main warehouse. This is the staff entrance there. Everybody's like super friendly. Everybody's smiling. We love it. That's part of our culture. We like to smile and be friendly and I think that's nice. A nice place to work. Everybody's friendly and happy, isn't it?
What's going on here?
So this is the quality control office. So see, this is the IQC. This is the incoming. So when products come in from suppliers, so these will be in from suppliers, and then We test them basically to our drawings, to our specifications, ensure they're compliant. We have perfect samples over here, so the golden samples, all in the boxes. And then once they're confirmed on the incoming, they'll go into the warehouse. So this road here is called Lovers Road. It recently connected all the way through to Tangjia in the north of the city. So now it's about 30 kilometers in distance. Coming along, and it's all been pedestrianized along the front coast. And it's the world's longest city-front boardwalk now, that used to be held by Miami. And now Zhuhai has it snaking around the coast. Lovers Road.
When you started dating your current wife, what was the biggest like cultural differences with you and her, and like you and her family?
So when you marry in China, you marry the family as well as the wife. I don't think they originally wanted a foreign husband.
No.
For their
Maybe
daughter.
some do, but
Yeah, my wife's parents didn't. They did not want a foreigner. But they saw the way I treated her. They saw I was loyal and loving, and they turned around. I had a good chat with them, and and they have accepted me really nicely, welcomed me to the family.
yeah.
There is cultural differences. They're very, very direct. You know, they don't try and make things sound nice. They're like, you've got to do this or you should not do that. It's very, very direct. And then there's some things which are just never going to be the same between us, such as the cold water versus warm water, air conditioning on and off, you know, especially when we had the baby.
So what's the thing about cold and hot water?
So basically, most all Chinese people I've met, they believe that the cold water is bad for your health. You have to drink warm water because it's the same temperature as your body.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, in the West, we typically drink iced water, cold water.
Yes.
So that's something which we could never agree with each other.
Yeah.
The air conditioning is another one, especially around the baby. And then there's...
They don't like AC around baby.
Unless the baby's sweating a lot, obviously. And then there's dressing the baby, when the baby was young, dressing it in far too many clothes so it doesn't get cold. But then the baby's sweating like crazy. So there's that sort of arguments. But these are all trivial matters, you know. Generally, you find that everybody's friendly with each other and we all love each other and we got a good relationship.
But you just need to speak Chinese, I mean, to communicate with them, right?
That's right. Quite sure my mother-in-law speaks more English than she makes on. One of her previous careers was as an English teacher, so yeah, I'm pretty sure she does. They are assembling the Shogun Nordex. This is our own equipment. Shogun is our own brand. So we manufacture this for ourselves. We started a fitness brand in the US back in 2017 called Shogun, and this is a product that we own our own IP on. It's a full posterior chain exercising machine. So you can do Nordic curls, you can do back extensions.
Is it more for you? It's more profitable to make your own products?
Of course, yeah. Then you've missed out. You've missed out people in the chain. Then it's our product, and we're the ones selling it. So there's a lot more scope for margin, but there's also a lot more scope to offer the product at a lower price to consumers.
So it's almost the finished product, yeah?
Yeah. This is now also going through quality. So the staff with the red shirts are the quality personnel. Edwin is our production supervisor. So yeah, checking the final assembly, checking the quality.
Nice.
Cleaning it off.
It's pretty cool, yeah. When you see your own product.
Yeah, it is.
It's like, do you see it like in stores or like in a retail?
No, because I don't live in the US, but you're going to see one somewhere else very soon.
And the management is like Caucasian or Chinese as well?
So the directors, the three directors are British, myself, Nick and Mark Jacobs.
Yes.
Our upper management are local Chinese. Candice, operations manager.
Yeah.
Kat Chow, the general manager of the facility. So those two run the facility. And that's good because those two are females and the three of us are males. So it also gives a really good balance, diversity of thought, different cultural backgrounds, different gender. And then the finance manager for the group, Ivy, also Chinese. So it's a really good mix. And then our head of engineering is Indian, and our head of sales and marketing is Mexican.
Okay.
So it's a
very diverse.
Yeah, real diverse mix. So this is a sled. It's basically a tank sled for working out. So this is one that we developed. So we've got in a sample with. So this is what we trial it. So we make these dirty prototypes in a local metal facility, and then eventually it comes through to this finished product.
Yeah, nice. Are you involved in the designing of the products?
Personally, no, but I do like working out, so I'll get involved as we start to really design them to see, you know, what's better for us and what works.
How's it raising kids in China for you now? Like, it's still early age. It's 2.5.
2.5, yeah.
But what's your experience for these first 2.5 years?
It's been wonderful. It really has. China's very convenient because of the technology, you know, ordering stuff off the off Meituan, anything we need for the baby. Oh, we've run out of nappies. Order some off Meituan, and they arrive in 30 minutes. So no panics like that. But I would say the one major difference is because of that sort of that family unit here in China, the in-laws do a lot with the baby, much more than is commonplace in the UK. Now in the UK, some grandparents will help with the children for sure, but
it's not that common.
No, but over here it's very common. So grandma and granddad, they help a lot with the baby, which makes it like my dad said to me once, you two don't know what it's like to be parents, because we get that much support from the grandparents. And then on top of that, it's relatively low cost to afford a nanny here. So when you have the nanny plus the grandparents helping, it does make it so much easier. So then both myself and my wife can hold down full-time jobs and provide. This is our R&D center, the Design for Excellence test lab. We're going to a moment. And this is where we do a lot of the R&D. We've got 3D printer, we've got workbenches for people to create stuff and test stuff. And we do R&D for ourselves, but also for our clients as well. This is our showroom.
Wow.
So the products in here, we can show you. No client has said we can't. Obviously, we're very strong in the IP protection. But the IP protection is also more for the insides, the workings, how it's assembled, what the drawings are, etc. So those things are very sealed. But this is a range of products we make, not all of them. You'll see randomly we've become experts in coffee equipment. And it's such a mix because it depends on what the clients want us to make for them.
Is it B2C, like to end consumer, this one?
That one is, obviously we don't sell to the consumer, we sell to the clients, to Barista & Co, and then they sell on to... This is quite an interesting one, very high precision.
What's that?
So this is once you've got the coffee pressed inside the holder, you can then make some micro holes in it to allow better extraction of the coffee. And when there was, a couple of years ago, there was the Barista Awards, and it was really high. It was like 6 or 7 of the top 10 were using one. So I've never tried it yet, but it must make a difference.
Okay, that's the router or something?
It's a TV box.
The TV box. Okay, simple products like this one you also produce,
Yeah, so we don't produce them internally. That's our other company, China to West. So China to West does the sourcing and the quality control.
Nice, okay. What's that?
This is Token Show. So this is one we've R&D'd ourselves. And the use of this is to have a secure NFT uploading image app onto the medallion. Medallion's got an extremely high quality screen and long lasting battery. So it can show the NFT that you purchase. Obviously, only you can own the NFT. And it's for people that are into NFTs and Bitcoin, but then also something which is becoming much more useful is for merchandise, for high-end merchandise for events. So you could go to like a Lady Gaga event or something, and they could have a specific image only for people that have attended the event, and then sell these at the event, and people have got it bright and shining up on themselves.
That's pretty cool. This one, I know. When he got my tattoos, he'll like,
there you go. And then these are ovens we've
barbecue chef.
R&D, like pizza oven.
Nice. What's your favorite product?
My favorite product, I would probably say this pizza oven here. I like this.
Yeah.
Because
advanced.
It's very advanced. The results of how well it heats up, retains the heat is just really incredible. And then you can cook steaks in it, you can cook chickens and...
So this is the brand that you created?
One of the brands. No. This is a very big brand in Europe. Yeah.
Okay.
We were selling to them. So this is our own oven. We've R&D'd their own oven, and then we've sold it to a few different brands.
Oh, okay.
So this is another example. This is our oven. We R&D this ourselves, and we sold it to Barbecue Chef.
Yeah.
So then they sell it on. So in front of us here, you'll see the Gongbei port. That's the original border between mainland China and Macau. There's now multiple borders, but this was the original. That used to take, it would sometimes take 4 hours to get through that border to go to Macau.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. And now, 30 minutes. I went last week for a meeting, 30 minutes to get across the border.
Yeah.
To do both immigrations.
So Macau it's like Hong Kong kind of. So it's a special.
Yeah, it's a
region.
special administrative region. There is a couple of differences. So Macau was originally a Portuguese, basically, colony in South China, whereas Hong Kong was done by the British. Macau returned to China back in the 90s, and it's retained a lot of its Portuguese heritage. So the legal system in Macau, obviously it's underpinned by the Chinese legal system, but it's got a lot of Portuguese law in there. And Portuguese law is very complex. So there's a lot of Portuguese judges and lawyers still working in Macau because of that. Yeah. And the road signs in Macau are still all in Portuguese and Chinese. There's no English on the road signs. So it can make it a little bit confusing getting a taxi there.
So Macau is not only about gambling and the casinos.
Not anymore, no. Obviously that's been the main money earner for a long time, the gaming income, which is larger than Las Vegas.
Is
the
it?
gaming income in Macau, yes.
Wow.
It overtook Las Vegas,
Wow, crazy.
I think 7 or 8 years ago, and now it's much higher. They had a bit of a dip when Xi Jinping brought in the big anti-corruption drive, which was obviously a really good thing for China. But that meant when there's less money going around the system, so there was less gaming income in Macau. But it is back up very high again. But apart from gaming, Macau is now doing a lot on medical, on education, and I don't know if you know much about Hunching. Hunching it's an island of Zhuhai, but it's called the Guangdong Macau Hunching Cooperation Zone. And the plan is for it to be handed over to Macau. So it's part of mainland China, but operated by Macau. And it allows completely, free travel of services, goods, people, everything. And the aim is to allow Macau and Zhuhai to both develop further industries in Hunching. So Hunching's a very interesting place. It's one of Xi Jinping's pet projects.
Why there are no people?
So various reasons. Some of them will move their brakes forward so that we can film without any of the IP sensitive projects currently assembling. Other projects, they're currently on a pause because of the tariffs. So that's a big one. The tariff situation.
Tell me about this. It's like fresh, recent. Like what's going on now?
Oh dear. So my company's quite exposed. Okay. I will not lie. It's quite exposed to the tariff situation. About 60% of the value of our exports go to the USA for various clients. So there's two different things. One is we're looking at how to mitigate or reduce the tariffs the best way we can through different options and different techniques. And secondly, some clients are just pausing. They're just holding, let's pause production.
Waiting,
Let's wait to see what happens. So let's not spend money and finish everything now. So you would have seen in our warehouse just then, there was a lot of basically not finished goods, but parts stored. Because we were waiting. And that's waiting to see, will the tariffs come down or not? Our prediction is in the next 3 months, they will go down to about 50 to 60%.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, which is what Trump said during his electioneering, his campaign. He was saying 60% tariffs on China. We think they'll come down to that. And when they do, it's still not ideal, but it will work for some of our clients. Then for the ones it doesn't work for, we have to look at what's the next plan. So that's why we're opening India right now. So Nick, the company president, is in India right now, along with Jesus, head of sales and marketing. I fly to India in 10 days to basically ramp up the employment and the company formation.
All right.
So
you're building a production
we're not
site
gonna
there.
We're not going to open a factory yet in India. We think that's too much of a quick leap. But we want to be agile. So we're opening the full sourcing and engineering R&D office. And we're going to start building our supply chain. So verifying suppliers, verifying sources of materials, etc. Seeing what prices work there, what component prices are. Work with an external assembly partner at first. And we've got 20 years of experience of helping Chinese factories improve their processes. We don't go in at the top level tier A factories. We normally go in tier 3, 4 and help improve them. Because then we build that trust and the rapport with the factories. So we'll do the same in India. And then ideally, by the end of this year, we'll open a small factory in India.
I guess Chinese start like traveling more and seeing the world more within the last like 15, 20 years, yeah?
Yes.
China opened up, people start making more money.
I was just say, so yeah, with the opening up and especially not just the traveling, but the number of students going overseas as well, it opens their eyes to a different culture and different peoples and ways of living. They bring that back to China, and I think it remains always part of them. And they retain an affinity to the country where they studied. So an example of that, there's a UK alumni group in China, and it's got thousands of members. And there's another one in Zhuhai for Chinese British students come back. And they really have this connection with the UK, and that stays with them for a while.
Do you think that idea of, let's say, graduating from high school and then getting accepted to some good Western university, and then immigrate basically to the US or Canada or UK, it's still there? Or it's like shifted more that people see, oh, maybe the West is not ideal place, it's not like a dream place, and like some of them just go back?
I think you've hit on a very current topic. A lot of people, obviously previously they would like to stay overseas, but now a lot more are studying and then coming back. They see more opportunities back here in China. So they want to come back, they want to build something here. And it's also them being closer to their family as well. I noticed during COVID, there was lockdowns everywhere around China.
Yeah.
And China is a very family-oriented society, it always has been. Post-COVID, there was a lot less migrant workers coming back to the cities. It's as if they wanted to then stay closer to their families. There was a psychological shift. And I do quite like the way China has that family unit wide and strong, you remain close with your aunties, uncles, cousins.
Yeah.
Everyone is always close to each other. It's quite nice. This is the Shogun Strength Lab. So Shogun is our brand.
Yeah. Woo! Awesome.
This is our gym. So all of our employees are allowed to use this.
Yeah.
They sign basically a disclaimer, they do some training, and then they're all allowed to use it. We also do yoga classes for staff. We've done gym classes for staff.
Yeah.
We want to, like I said, we want to maintain that happy atmosphere. Everybody's really happy at their work, but also fit and healthy.
You've been almost like all your adult life in China. What part of you is British? What part of you is Chinese? Or like, I am pretty sure you developed some Chinese-ness in you, like after living here for 20 years. I
would say in my heart, I'm still 100% British.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I would say, because of the way I look inside from the outside, and because of how much I love the UK, I'm incredibly British. But there is one particular thing which I have got more of since I've lived in China, and that is direct. I have become more direct.
Yeah.
And whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't...
It's good, that's good.
Yeah.
I have a hard time. I have British friends, but sometimes I have a hard time understanding them. Yeah. It's
I can imagine.
The British people are famous for like not telling you the truth, what they mean.
Yeah.
You kind of need to figure out. Yeah.
Yeah. But I've become more direct in that, which I've learned from the local culture, obviously.
But I guess you kept your politeness and you just added directness to it.
Yeah.
which is great.
So, polite directness.
What's your view on the UK right now? Like living for 20 years in China, what's your thoughts about your home country?
I think people have lost hope, to be honest. I think hope is something which people at a high level in politics, in companies, no one really gives hope anymore. Now, you could say I'm naive thinking hope and like let's hope for a better tomorrow, a better time for our families and our own personal situations. But I think the world could do with a bit of hope right now, and I think it's missing from the conversation in the UK. And I see a lot of people that are, struggling with the cost of living, which is not just in the UK, that's in many countries. But the hope is missing. You know?
When you start living in China like 20 years ago and you start coming back to the UK, what changes in the vibe or in the whole like atmosphere of people you saw? Like, let's say 20 years ago, the mood in the society, versus 10 years ago versus now, let's say. Because you have this helicopter view, living
Yes.
not in the UK, you probably could see the differences.
From my helicopter view, that's a good phrase of putting it. It is as if people have less energy now than they used to have. There's less dynamism, and there could be many reasons for that. It could be that there is, less opportunities, or people just don't see what the future is, or why they're bothering. I know that housing is a huge issue for young people. The cost of buying a house.
Yeah.
So, are they going to try and spend all their money on buying a house, but then not be able to enjoy life and live? So it does seem different than when I left.
And in China, I guess, is different. So it was like growing for this 20 years. So the mood was
Very
like actually
different.
improving. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when I moved here in 2005, oh man, the energy back in 2005, the energy, the dynamism.
Yeah.
Everybody wanted to start a company. Everybody wanted to generate wealth. Everybody wanted to do something to improve their own personal situation. I would say back in 2005, China was the most capitalist country on the planet. And it was just, everything was building up. And that lasted for a long time.
Yeah.
Then there was the stimulus after the global financial crisis, the Great Recession in 2008-9 that China put into the economy. And it continued to spurt that growth. Now the growth has slowed, that's for sure. But the economy is much larger now, so the growth has to slow. But you still see, every time there's new infrastructure projects and new things popping up everywhere. So the opportunities are still there. But housing for young people is also an issue in China.
Yeah.
So you've got two completely different countries, completely different economies, UK and China, but both have a housing issue for young people.
What's the best part and the worst part of being an entrepreneur, running your own business?
The best part is how interesting it is. I love it on the interesting, your mind is open, you create things and do things and form bonds and connections, and you're basically controlling your own schedule and the direction and the vision. That's the best thing, by far.
Yeah.
The worst thing, am I allowed two? Two worst things? So the first worst thing is when it gets tough or busy, you are responsible. You need to work the hours, you need to put in that hard work, and then maybe your family gets less of your time.
You cannot blame someone else.
Correct. And then the second one is, which links to also a good side, but your team, your people, you're responsible for them and their income and their families, So if the company fails, then it's not just me that suffers by losing a company. All my employees lose a job, lose their career, who knows how long it'll take them to find another one, and they've got families to support. So it's that bit is the second one, that responsibility level. But the flip side of that is, it's lovely getting to have that community with the team as well.
What's your main principles in life? Something really important that maybe you want to pass later to your children?
I would say it's having a social purpose in life. The question of purpose is a huge one, but in my opinion, it can be drilled down to the fact everybody has a financial purpose, and that is to earn a living, to provide shelter, food, and protection for your family. But I've found over the years, people have been so supportive and have helped me have something I'd never have without them. So it's developed this social purpose in me where I want to give back to society. So I do that through mentoring young people, giving back to the next generation, the charity, the music festival, giving back to children in the local community, because the community has helped us build the factory. Chairman of the British Chambers to give back to British business. And now I've just been appointed to the UK National Committee on China in London, and that's to give back to more British business, give back to the UK-China relations. And eventually I want to try and give back even more.
What's the meaning of life for you?
To do good. If I have to sum it up, that's an impossible question. To do good. I think the meaning of life is to do good.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.